What are Ethereal Shorekeeper's biggest pros and cons? That's what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Let's make one thing clear right from the get-go. Shorekeeper is one of the absolute best characters in the entire game. No, that's underselling her actually. Shorekeeper is the best character in all of Wuthering Waves. It's not even close. She's best in assault for casuals, hardcores, those in between, and literally every other type of player. She's literally her. The unit that you want to pick up. Ever since her release back in 1.3, she has been an absolute meta staple. The prospect of a second Verena in of itself was already something special, but considering the sheer quality of the buffs that she provides, it's no surprise to me at all that she's as strong as she is. She works in every team in the game. You probably think I'm exaggerating when I say that. You may think that whenever I say every team, there's perhaps 1 to 2 teams that don't use her, right? Well, I am being completely, utterly, 1000% serious when I say that Shorekeeper works everywhere. It doesn't matter who you main or what your favorite team archetype is. Shorekeeper will be an upgrade for that archetype. I guarantee it. Her shelf life is insane, and she's only going to continue to be an extremely strong support for a very long time. I can't see Kuro power creeping such a universal third slot teammate anytime soon. Third slot teammates are already quite rare in Wuthering Waves as is, so that only furthers Shorekeeper's value. The fact that she works everywhere should be a major selling point in of itself. When you add her to a team, that comp's performance is going to be significantly upgraded. I can't drive this point home enough. She is the best limited 5-star in the entire game. Nobody is better. Trust me, if you're somebody that skipped out on her initially back in 1.3, or if you're somebody that joined in 2.0 to 1 and missed out on her initial banner, you should 100% consider picking up a copy. To say that she'll improve your Wuthering Waves experience would be an understatement of the highest order. Then we have to touch on one of Shorekeeper's main selling points, her buffs. You see, once you get good enough at Wuthering Waves, your need for a healer severely diminishes, and you'd rather run a character that can aid your overall damage output instead, right? Well, what do you know? Shorekeeper still remains as the most ideal third slot teammate for quite literally every team in the game, because she offers buffs. And oh, does she offer buffs. These buffs are not for the weak-willed. I'm gonna start with her Stellar Realm, as to me, that's the main meat of her kit. So how much crit do you think you're gonna get from a fully stacked Stellar Realm? 12.5% crit rate and 25% crit damage. Yep, this is the only character in the game who is able to provide powerful crit buffs. So far, we don't have any main DPS who doesn't deal the majority of our damage with critical hits, so this only adds to the sheer power of this universal buff. This free stick is such an insane boost to literally any team out there. Seriously, this is what separates Shorekeeper as somebody special, a support that quite literally cannot be matched in value. However, the fun doesn't stop there. Yeah, you thought that those insane crit buffs were all? They'd already be enough to solidify her position in the meta as one of this game's strongest supports. But no, Shorekeeper is the gift that keeps on giving. What does she have in store for us next? Well, how about some extremely lucrative attack percent buffs? That's right, on top of the splendid crit that you're getting from her Stellar Realm, you're also obtaining a whole lot of attack from her primary gear. You're supposed to equip 5-piece Rejuvenating Glow on her, which offers your team 15% attack. Then her primary Echo, Fallacy of No Return, offers 10% attack. Yep, she not only offers you all of that delicious crit, but she stacks a 25% attack buff on top of everything else. Things just can't stop getting better. However, because Shorekeeper is eternal, we have to talk about some other buffs that she offers. She has as much buffs as a high-quality gaming PC has storage, which checks out, seeing as Shorekeeper herself is a computer. She's able to provide your whole team with 15% damage amp. Yes, she truly does do everything. Needless to say, these are the best buffs in Wuthering Waves. She lands the mark on both quality and quantity. If you need a great buffer for your account, then Shorekeeper's the right lady to turn to. We should touch on the excellent heals that she offers as well. While healing in Wuthering Waves isn't that big of a deal, it's still some very nice additional quality of life that can allow you to play a bit more sloppily. Shorekeeper is the character to turn to if you're in need of some effective healing. She's the best healer in the game, no questions asked. She's able to prevent your characters from taking fatal blows, and while this only triggers once every 10 minutes, it's a really nice safety net if you really need it. Her healing is extremely high, and she is genuinely one of the best characters to recommend to casual players due to this fact. So while you're primarily using her for her buffing, you also attain a very strong comfort option for all of your teams. She's 100% the best healer in the game if that's what you're looking for in specific. So if you're interested in splendid heals, then Shorekeeper may be the computer waifu for you. The fun doesn't end there, as Shorekeeper has even more positives to discuss. If you've already picked her up, or if you're somebody that's wanting to dump everything you have on her upcoming banner, then you'll be delighted to know that she is an absolutely killer S2. 40% attack to everybody within her Stellar Realm. Now that is something else. As it currently stands, Wuthering Waves only has attack scaling main DPSs, so right now, this S2 has an insane amount of value. Do not underestimate the value of strong attack buffs in this game. Genuinely, this is one of the most universal ways that you can improve your entire Wuthering Waves account. Of course, you have to cross the barrier that is getting a S1 to get there. which honestly isn't all that bad either. Extending the range of her stellar realm is actually very useful in TOA when you're up against bosses that move around a lot. You can genuinely find yourself in situations where the boss steps outside of the realm despite its large size, or you end up flying out of it somehow, so it's actually some lovely quality of life. Her stellar realm not disappearing when you do her fully charged intro skill is nice too, but you'll be recasting it when you swap into her anyways. Sequences and Wuthering Waves have been improving in value with recent releases, but I'd still say that S2 Shorekeeper is one of the best high Astrite based investments that you could possibly make for your Wuthering Waves account. Going high investment on a main DPS means that only they experience a huge increase, but when you invest into Shorekeeper, everybody gets a good piece of the pie. Obviously, Shorekeeper is a fully complete unit down at S0. You don't need sequences in order for her to feel good to use, but they're definitely fantastic upgrades that you can aim for if you're interested in going the extra kilometer for her. There's also the fact that Shorekeeper is capable of offering some extra damage contribution to your entire team. It's not some huge amount that you should hyperfixate on, but it's a nice extra bonus that you can enjoy. Her fully charged intro skill's crit rate is fixed at 100%, so if you give her some lovely crit damage ripe echoes, then she'll be able to offer a nice bit of extra DPS to the team. You don't have to utilize this, you can get away with just treating your Shorekeeper as a healer and get away with that. However, it's a nice additional aspect of her kit that you're able to take advantage of, and if you do invest some decent stats into her, then you may even find yourself being impressed with what she's capable of. You'd think that with a character that has such an abundance of meta value, there'd be minimal flaws to speak of. While you'd be correct in assuming that her issues definitely do not diminish her as a character completely at all, there are indeed still some negatives to discuss that you should be aware of. One of those will be the field time that she takes up in order to set herself up fully. It's much longer than Verina's field time, and is more akin to Baichi's field time. This issue is only made worse if you don't have a variation to slot on her to help out with her concerto energy generation. Field time is an extremely valuable resource, so it's rather unfortunate that she takes a good bit of time to set up in comparison to somebody like Verina. However, this really isn't a big deal. I consider this to be a super minor flaw, because she makes up for said field time in spades. We both know how many buffs she provides. It is 100% worth the field time, and besides, her actual setup time is pretty standard. It only looks long in comparison to Verina, who takes almost no time at all. You 100% experience full value for the time lost, and you're ultimately still going to clear way faster if you're using Shorekeeper as opposed to not. There are sequences available to cut down her concerto generation time, but really you don't need those at all whatsoever. Unless you're some super high cost speedrunner, you're gonna get by just fine with a regular field time. So yes, she does have a longer field time, but don't interpret that as being a total deal breaker or some unforgivable flaw. It's reasonable considering what you get in exchange. Something that's a bit more glaring with her in all honesty is the fact that you require intro skills in order to build up to your golden stellar realm. Essentially, you get the 12.5% crit rate when it's purple, and you get the 25% crit damage when it builds up to being golden. In most teams, you're gonna naturally attain that anyway if you're carrying out your typical rotation. Take a Carlotta team for instance. Shorekeeper wants to outro to offer the team damage amp, and Jojo wants to offer the Montelli lady her high glacial percent and skill percent buffs. So in traditional hyper teams, you won't feel the awkwardness that much, but in quickswap teams where you're not always going to have intros available at every instance, or in teams where some characters just have really pointless outro skills, it's going to feel a bit rougher. Once again, I would not pin this down as some insane deal breaker. Nothing can break the value deal that is pulling for Shorekeeper, but this is still something you should keep in mind when playing her. This essentially makes her buff backloaded, since you only gain access to the full effects of it over the course of the rotation, but ultimately, as long as you manage to attain the golden stellar realm for your most important damage windows, you should be good to go. This point only really applies to players who haven't invested a whole lot into their main DPSs yet. Essentially, if your main DPSs don't have their full best assault teams, or a good limited 5-star weapon yet, then Shorekeeper's signature is redundant to pull for. It looks cool, sure, but there's always something better that you can pull for first. For example, getting signature weapons for your main DPSs, or even pulling for Stringmaster to sort out all of your future Rectifier users. Don't get me wrong, Shorekeeper's signature is still a very good weapon, and it does improve your account, but there's no need to get it when you have so many other things that you could pull for to improve your account. And besides, you'd rather aim for S2 Shorekeeper instead in my opinion. Now if you're somebody that already has a whole lot of investment poured into their account, then yes, her signature is actually very well worth your time. However, if you haven't collected a good 5-star for each weapon type for all of your DPSs yet, then I'd honestly pass on her signature. Shorekeeper is THE unit to pull for. I know that everybody hates the idea of a must-pull unit, and yes, you do not need her if you do not want her. However, it is utterly undeniable that if there was to be a must-pull unit in this game, it would be this character. Get her if you care about meta. I seriously don't think that there's any other character that I could recommend more. She is the #1 priority pull for anybody who wants to prioritize meta on their accounts. Genuinely the best character in the entire game. I have shilled her to the heights of the Imperator-ordained heavens in this video, and even then I still feel like I haven't shilled her enough. Get this character if you can. Will you be pulling for Shorekeeper, or is it still looking like a skip for you either way? Let me know down below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturday, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so that we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZD, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you Shorekeeper's biggest pros and cons. This has been Juice, signing out, and even in the world of Wuthering Waves, you just can't escape the allure of digital waifus, can you?